Just ahead of the 4th edition of the main event of Rwanda Fashion Week, we'll be taking a look at the state of the fashion industry in the country and in the continent. Today I'm joined by one of the members of Collective Rwanda, the hosts of Rwanda Fashion Week, Pierra Ntayobmya of Haute Baso, and a designer that will be featured this weekend, Adebayo Oke-Lawal of Orange Couture, all the way from Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Perfect. So let's talk about this Rwanda Fashion Week that's happening right now. You are here as a guest, but you are one of the hosts. It's the 4th time happening. What are we expecting of this year? Why do you keep going strong? I mean, what gives you the drive?
Well, we're really just trying to establish Rwanda as a fashion hub, and especially in the region. There's a lot of opportunity. I think the creative sector adds a lot to any type of developing economy. So I think it's really important for us, and that I think what drives us is to really create a space for creatives in the region and also on the continent to really be able to showcase their talent.
Right. I saw that you're going to have some emerging artists, so that's like designers, younger people from high schools, but you also have international like Adebayo here. So is it your first time in Rwanda? Tell us, what is your impression of the fashion industry here?
It's my first time, and you know, it's only been a few hours here, but in the past few hours, it's a really beautiful city, and I think what I love most about the whole experience here, and just talking to the people from the industry here, is the collaborative spirit that they have. All the designers working together to build this amazing fashion week and working together to also push the industry forward. I think it's so important to have that going.
Right. I mean, Nigeria has what I think to be a bit more of an evolved fashion industry, because we've been seeing some big productions happening there for some years now, big designers coming out of the country. So what do you think you can impart on the designers here and the industry here?
I think some level of encouragement. I think where they are is where we've been. So it's not something that, you know, is out of this world. It's the ability to grow when you work together. And I think that's what Lagos Fashion Week has done in the past couple of years, is the fact that designers have come together, working together under this platform, pushing the narrative forward and understanding that it takes time, but with time you can definitely grow into something international. And I think that they're definitely on the right path, and I think that's why it was so important for me to come, to be a part of this and to see just how wonderful the spirit of collaboration is here. So I'm very excited, and I think that you guys are definitely on the right path.
Right. I like that you put me in there, you guys.
No, because you're part of the industry. Everyone's part of building the industry.
Pierra, you know, recently, a bit recently, the second-hand clothes were banned here in Rwanda, or what we called kagwa here, was banned. How has that switched up the industry for you? How has that affected your business?
I think it's created more opportunities. So I think that really pushes us to have to do more. We have to find a way to service not just a really niche market. We have to, as collectively as designers, creatives, manufacturers, everybody in the fashion value chain, we have to now come together and really find solutions to solve, you know, and to build our industry. Right. That's the reason why we have to kind of limit, have these type of regulations, is to be able to build an industry that doesn't exist right now.
Right. One of the main things, though, one of the main reasons why people would go to secondhand flea markets or secondhand shops was to find clothes that were very affordable or, you know, quite cheap. How are you managing to sort of get the prices down so that everyone can take part in the fashion industry?
I think people buy secondhand not just for that reason. I think that's kind of the most known reason, but I think also people look for quality. So I think that also for us is to say that we have to be able to give a quality product at an affordable price. So I think for us, we've been lucky enough. I think our government is very supportive. We have VAT exemptions for importation of fabrics, so you're able to lower your costs when you're able to bring in fabrics without having to pay VAT. So that helps. These many initiatives like that allow us to lower our prices and still maintain a good quality, because I think at the end of the day, that's what people need, is quality with affordable pricing.
Right. We're hearing a lot these days about ethical fashion, sustainable fashion. How, with both of your brands, how are you managing to keep up with those standards now?
I think for us, it's always been something that's, from the beginning, has always been part of our I guess, vision and our goals is always to maintain a really ethical and sustainable value chain. So whether that is working with artisans and making sure they're getting fair wages, making sure that they have access to everything that they need. So I think that's something, education and trainings, that's something that's very important for us in terms of sustainability as well, making sure that we're not wasteful. I think a lot of resources that we have are very precious resources. So we have to really use them efficiently. So I think in our business, that's always been something that's been really at the core of our business.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's a similar story for us as well. It's really about working with local artisans. Local production is very important in terms of developing your industry and also just using the resources that you have. We use a lot of local fabrics as well, imbibing those things in our collections, and even the things that aren't found here, we try to sort of make here as well. So sometimes we grow the cottons and dye the cottons locally rather than buying cottons from another country, and that helps sort of like oil the supply chain, helps oil the value chain rather, and also helping to build textile manufacturing, helping to create your own prints around your culture. So it's about not just doing the physical things, but even in the emotional things as well, even in the things that aren't as tangible, whether it's the prints that you make, are they inspired by your culture, are they inspired by your background? That's a way of not just sort of sustaining the physical resources, but also sustaining your story and telling your story out, right?
Right. How do you think, because, okay, we've seen many African fashion houses and designers do well, but a lot of them stay quite small, and I don't know if that's by design or because it's challenging to scale. So what do you think is something that's holding us back from having a large international African brand?
I think it's kind of a tricky question because I think there's not one answer to that. Yeah. I think different, a lot of times Africa is kind of grouped as one, but there's so many markets and they're so different and the challenges are so different. I'm sure the challenges in Nigeria are not anywhere near the challenges in Rwanda or let's say South Africa, somewhere else. So I think everybody has different challenges, but I think a lot of it is we have to promote what's made on the continent ourselves. I think it really starts with internally. We have to say, okay, we want to wear made in Rwanda. We want to wear made in Lagos or Nigeria. We want to promote our own brands. I think that's because we're many people. It's a lot. It's a huge market, the African market. And I think a lot of international brands, let's say in Europe or in America, they're realizing how important the African market is. So I think it's only time. Time will really, I think, expose us to the international market.
I definitely agree. It varies along different countries. And I think for us personally, it's also the need for the government support as well, and seeing the industry as a viable source of income, as a viable contribution to the economy. Because I think for years, many people had seen that fashion was just, they didn't really see it as a financially viable industry. So a lot of people didn't want to invest in industry. And I think that that's such a huge part of scaling up, is getting investment in that industry. Right. For textile, for manufacturing, even for the people, for us as education, we need to be able to know that people can go through the right education system to be able to develop as proper fashion designers. They don't have to go abroad, they can do it locally. And I think also consumers, as she said, have a huge part to play, because if we're producing and no one's buying, then the industry just goes 10 steps backwards. So consumers also have to make a conscious note to invest. Like you're wearing a designer from here, decide that, okay, sometimes I might want to wear Zara, but today and every other day in the month, I'm going to invest in a local designer. Making that conscious decision helps fuel the industry, and contributing to the industry helps with longevity and helps us have a reason to then scale up.
Right, so support, funding, government support as well can be something that you think can sort of support the industry grow to something that could be a global phenomenon. Of course. Well, we look forward to the show this weekend. You'll be showing, and the rest of the collective will be showing. There's 10 designers. You said 2 international designers.
And we have an emerging showcase as well. Those will be for students for various high schools in the city.
Amazing.
Right, so also contributing to the MICE goals of Rwanda. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We look forward to seeing what you have in store.